we're always, unfortunately, it's escalating quicker and quicker for me these days, but I always want that next something. You start with the Game Boy. This is fun. Then I want my Game Boy Advance. Then I want my DS, my Switch. I always want something more because it's a very short life, right? Like,
Mhm.
yes, 80, 100 years, it's a very long time and you can accomplish so much in that, but it's a speck of time in the grand scheme of things. And I want to squeeze everything I can into what I got. So virtual reality gaming, this is my opportunity to experience something else in life right now at the forefront of it. That's where I want to be. But getting into that is spending all that money. I didn't have much left over, and Viveport was very influential in how I played a lot of games at the beginning. Viveport was awesome. Spending a little bit of money a month to have a very large catalog of games, and you had a lot of great games on there too. It wasn't just a bunch of random stuff. It was good stuff. So now I look at PCVR and it's like, Oculus, it was their last Oculus Studio game they funded for Lone Echo 2. And I'm curious if HTC sees a future where maybe they are the bank per se, funding larger PCVR titles. Is HTC talking about doing that for any developers or anything?
Oh yeah, we actually already do that. We invest in quite a few companies. Actually, we're a major investor in VR chat. So I'm not sure if a lot of people know that. We
I
are
did
the
not.
major investor. Yeah. So we invest in a lot of companies that do innovation in general, inside, outside of VR. But we invest in studios, content creators, and all that stuff. So we are there to invest in the ecosystem because if the VR industry is doing well, then we're thriving, we're doing well.
Why VR chat out of all the social platforms? What drew HTC to them? Because I'd like to hear your thoughts on VR chat because that's a very, very big platform and could be huge. And I'm sure HTC has to see something to get so involved.
Yeah. So that wasn't my decision, but VR chat, I think, back then it was not so big. I think we were the first investor into it or first major one. So back then it was more about the promise and how exciting it could be. And, just like most investments, a lot of them don't necessarily pan out, but VR chat, amazing. Like, we've known people who got married because of VR chat. It's probably the platform that has the most concurrent users. Uh, Compared to any other VR platform or game. So yeah, I think it's been great, and I think overall it's a by nature a viral product, right? It
Yes.
it makes people want to grab others into VR. Hey, get your headset so you can go in VR. We can hang out in VR chat. So it's a social product. It's evergreen, and this is actually very interesting because, and back to the Valley of Viport, because it's so expensive to create VR content, right?
Yes.
2D games easy, 3D games, and you can't just make like low resolution because you're in everything's blown up to be building size. So it's very expensive, very difficult to make VR content. And as a result, most VR games out there is like 5 to 40 hours of experience, right? You don't usually see those games that you can play for 500 hours, 2,000 hours, which
Yes.
some console games do have and computer and PC games have. But when you look at something like VR chat, the players, they're the content, right? They're the experience, and so everyone's there to entertain each other, have fun, and enjoy each other. So I think that actually is kind of an evergreen type of environment for VR, and because VR experiences are short, if you spend like 40 to 60 bucks on one game and you play it for 5 hours and complete it, that usually gives a not that great of a feeling.
No,
But the
not at
thing with
all.
Viport is that you get to try something for an hour or two. It's like, yeah, it's kind of fun, but let me try something else. It's like, wow, this is the game I want to really play. But then after 30 hours, it ends. It's like, all right, let me find the next one. So I think you can try a lot of things without a commitment, and you get to, even if you like it, that hey, if it's on a 10 to 40 hour experience, I'm not paying more to try the next game in the same month.
No, and it's helping. I've got to imagine it's helping developers get a little more exposure. Like Denny from Cloudhead Games, I really liked his comment about he likes curated storefronts to a degree where we can't, these diamonds in the rough or diamonds that are out there as games, you have to in VR right now, in his opinion, and I would tend to agree, push them to the forefront, push them to your face. Otherwise, this visibility is so hard for anyone to know what to play. There's a lot of risk in a virtual reality game because a lot of people are trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, what's fun, what's not, what's immersive. And if you have to take a risk on every single game, you're going to gravitate really just to the same core ones that everybody recommends it. Why does everyone bring up Super Hot? Why does everyone bring up Beat Saber? All these games, because we know that the experience is pretty standard from person to person in these. They're gonna have a good time, but you pushing games to people's eyeballs, it is going to be good for VR because you want that first experience of someone to be good.
Mhm.
And at least with Viveport, if it's not good, their first experience of the game, there's no risk. They just exit out, on to the next. I thought that was really ingenious when I played, when I used Viveport, because I did find a bunch of crap. I'm not gonna lie, that was just, I chose the wrong stuff. But then I found a lot of good things, like what was it, man? The Green Room or something like that. What was that? Some horror game that I found on Viveport that I absolutely fell in love, and that was like the first game that really sunk a lot of time into. Um, Going
For
back
me, it's
to
Ninja Legends.
Ninja
That's a game
Legends.
that grabbed me. I like, you know, I like sword fighting VR games, not as much as or uh, over gunfight VR games. And so I think that's what really got me into Viveport. But I think one of the big things about the ecosystem is like if you saw that a lot of the big gaming companies, the triple game companies, they said, oh, they don't want to do VR because it's too risky, right? It's
Hmm.
expensive, it's unproven, it's risky, it's quote unquote a niche market because it's limited to how many people have VR headsets, which of course is expanding by the day. So the people that actually make a lot of VR content, those are people with passion, right?
Yes.
Indie companies like, hey, we just imagine how amazing gaming could be when it's immersive, when we're in VR. And so the indie companies, they take the risk, they make the game, and so Viport gives them the chance to have more exposures. Hey, if they're doing well, we want them to be discovered, and so they'll inspire other companies to actually make VR games also. And I think again, Viport has been doing that. So that's why you see more and more companies trying. And so I think the ecosystem overall is getting healthier because of that.
When you are like, I'm sure there's a process for which games you're marketing towards and pushing become part of Viport, and maybe that gives you a little insight to see what people are playing more of and giving more reviews to. From someone who maybe has a lot more knowledge of, since you have this wide range of games on Viport, what are you seeing of what people are finding works for VR, what isn't working? Like, what are people gravitating towards? Like, I know a lot of people like shooters, so then hearing you liking swords, like I like to hear that. It's a little something, it's different. But what kind of games and mechanics maybe are you seeing people gravitate towards more?
I think you could tell from the big genres, right? Horror is a huge genre just because it's scarier when it's all around you, right?
Yes.
And the zombie or monster is creeping up next to you and you don't even notice until it's too close. So I think that creates the most amount of sensation in the experience. And then shooters are fun because people always imagine themselves being some badass, hero going around and fighting bad guys. So it's almost like that, playing Pokemon on your Game Boy into Pokemon Go. Before, when you watch the anime, you watch the trainer, and then when you play Pokemon, or when you play Pokemon on your Game Boy, you control the trainer, and then when it's Pokemon Go, it's more augmented reality stuff, you become the trainer. I think this is the same thing. You're not controlling a character, shoot around, you are the character, and I think that gets people to be pretty excited. We also see that things that involve a lot of movement and rhythm,
Mm,
musical games, right? Things that if your body moves, it makes you happy, or exercising, right? Those are also genres that people really enjoy. So more sensation, more movement, more rhythm. Those I think are places where VR adds a lot of value at. Also immersive puzzle games, kind of like escape rooms. Um, the Vive Portal ARG we're doing is like almost like a escape room, but just on the internet kind of thing. So that people do like to look for clues, try to solve puzzles, and also some of the socializing. So we're seeing those trends, but of course, I don't want to say this and limit companies to
yes.
only do these things that are proven and let's just change it to from a cowboy to space fighters, right? I do, we always keep discovering new genres that people are like, wow, that's so amazing. We never thought this was possible. Like if you look at Super Hot, right? That is not a clear genre from before. Like it's
No, not at
actually it's a
all.
very unique type of game. You wouldn't say it's a shooter. It's almost like it's like a puzzle game and a shooter and all these things combined. And so we really encourage companies to do that. They took the risk to innovate, and they were rewarded for that.
Hit that subscribe button to stay on top of the daily clips, or catch the debates and fireside chats live on the main channel down in the video description. See you next time, Space Cowboys.